Welcome to Seize the Mains by Malhotra's IS Academy. I am Surbhi Sardana and I am taking this daily answer writing initiative from Monday to Friday at 9 pm. In this initiative, we discuss UPSC Civil Services level sample questions or previous year questions and learn to build answers around them. You can also write your own answers and send them to be evaluated by our experts and get a valuable feedback entirely free of cost. So moving on to the day 18 discussion. First of all, since there is a change in the pattern, let's display the discussion question for tomorrow. The question for tomorrow is, critically examine the steps taken by government towards equity and sustainable development through budget 2022-23. This question is from GS paper 3, government budgeting topic. It is according to the schedule which is attached in the description below. You can download the schedule till March 17 from there. This question has to be answered in 250 words and it will fetch you 15 marks. You can send answers to this question by 9 pm of day after tomorrow, which is 5th of March. By 9 pm of 5th of March, so we have increased the number of hours that we give to you to write answers. You can mail your answers to us at rmiasmainswriting@gmail.com. And the discussion for answer writing for this question will be held tomorrow at 9 pm on 4th March. So beginning the discussion for our today's question, day 18, which is from GS paper 2, issues relating to poverty and hunger. The question for today was displayed in yesterday's discussion and the question is, despite surplus food production, millions of Indian citizens die due to hunger. Comment, answer in 150 words for 10 marks. Now this question is from poverty and hunger issues part of GS paper 2 and since the directive here is comment, what you have to do is, you don't have to debate about it. This is a given statement, this is a given fact and we have to talk about it. So what we can talk about this thing, either we can talk about the reasons or we can talk about the way forward, what is the way forward for this, or we can talk about policies that are already being run by the government or the state of India which is there. So you have three things: reasons, way forward, or the policies of government in place and ways to improve them, which will be covered in your way forward itself. So that's how you can write this answer, that's how you can comment on this answer, because there is no other dimension to it that we can comment about. So we'll start by building all these three, keeping the word limit in mind. So we'll write in very short format, we'll write down in points. And I recommend that you note down the keywords or note down whatever important information comes across during this discussion and just scribble on a rough copy, rough pad or anything else. And let's begin. The PDF for this lecture will be available in the description below, so you don't have to make full notes. Let's begin by writing an introduction. In the introduction, we talk about what is already given in the question. We appreciate it or use our knowledge to expand on what's given in the question. So the introduction reads, India ranks 101 out of 116 countries on the 2021 Global Hunger Index rankings with a score of 27.5, which GHI considers as serious. So of the 1.3 billion living in India, over 194 million people or 14.4% are undernourished. So this introduction just gives a boost to whatever has been written in the question, the question statement. It gives a boost to that. You can have your own type of data. This is a very popular report, Global Hunger Index, and every year a lot of debate goes on around this. There are also many indices released by IFPRI and things on FAO, things like that. So you can add that too, or you can just skip the data part entirely. Just remember 1 or 2 points from data and use that as your answer. Moving on to the linkage point. Linkage point introduces the body paragraph for you. So it gives the idea to the examiner that from here the entire answer, the complete answer is beginning. So this crisis is a severe problem throughout India and is difficult to address for a variety of reasons. So here we are starting to build the reasons for the hunger that is prevailing in India. So what are the reasons? The first reason is poverty itself. The people do not have adequate amount of money or reach to buy food items. So poverty restricts the food choices as the prices of food items are not in tune with the regional disparities in terms of development. The backwardness among the hilly and tribal areas. So these are the areas which are most stuck with this. The availability of food grains is not very high in these areas, plus poverty levels are higher, and the reach, the resource reach or the geographical reach is not good as compared to other areas. So regional disparities are a cause of concern, poverty is a cause of concern, due to which hunger is prevailing in India. The second point talks about agricultural output. Most of our land holdings are small or marginal. Like we have most of small and marginal farmers. The produce that they get from their farm is not enough to sustain them for the entire year. Plus there has been a shift towards cash crops which are degrading the quality of soil. There is climate change happening. So issues like these associated with agriculture and the kind of land holdings that we have, that's an issue that pushes the menace of hunger forward. So the agriculture output from small and marginal holdings are either stagnant or declining due to reasons such as reduced soil fertility, fragmented lands, fluctuating market price of farm produce, monoculture, etc. Almost 50 million households in India are dependent on these small and marginal holdings. Though we have surplus food, most small and marginal farming households do not produce enough food grains for their year-round consumption. There's one thing to note here, that we give you very detailed points, very extensive points. But when you write your own answers, you have to keep the word limit in mind, 150 words. So if if as an aspirant you have to write this answer, like answer from this information in your exam, you can just use like 5 to 10 words for each point. You don't have to elaborate fully. We just give here for a discussion so that you understand the nitty-gritties of these points in detail. Moving on to the next point, the next reason for prevailing hunger in India is, there is a book by Amartya Sen, Poverty and Famines, and it talks about exchange entitlement decline. This is a very simple concept, but it appears to be very technical. So if you quote this in your answer, you will get more marks, that the examiner gets to know that you have read about such books or such economist. So what he says is that whatever occupation people are into now, that occupation, whatever the money they generate out of it, is not enough, is not high enough to buy ample amount of food or nutritious food grains. So that is a problem, that is exchange entitlement decline. So the exchange for the value of money or whatever they have with them for food is declining. The exchange value of their entitlement, whatever they possess, their possessions in like exchange of food, that is coming down. So that is a very big issue. If you have read about the cotton farmers of India, they say that in 1991, whatever the price of 1 kg or 100 kg of cotton was there, it has not increased since 1991 till now. And at that time they could buy like 10 grams of gold by selling some amount of cotton. But now with that same amount, with the prices of gold increasing, they cannot invest in anything while they are entirely dependent on cotton farming. So things like that are happening. The value of money is declining. The value of their entitlements is declining. So the occupation that a major section of people are engaged in is not remunerative enough to buy adequate food. And this paragraph, just read it for yourself. This is entirely what we just discussed about the theory of Dr. Amartya Sen. And moving on to the fourth point. The fourth point talks about lack of employment. Obviously, when there is lack of employment, there is less disposable cash available. So this is a point which elaborates on that part, especially for the rural areas. There is less opportunity to get remunerative works. Lack of income opportunities other than farm sector has contributed heavily to the growing joblessness in rural areas. The Mahatma Gandhi MG Narega continues to be the lone rural job program that too had been weakened over the years through great delays in payments and non-payments, ridiculously low wages, and a reduced scope of employment due to high bureaucratic control. So even if people were employed in MG Narega, there were many bureaucratic hurdles. There were things, money was not reaching to the people before DBT especially, and whatever the money was being given to them in exchange of their work was not enough for them to lead a healthy lifestyle and to be eradicated out of hunger and poverty. So moving on to next reasons. So we have many schemes going on. We have the public distribution system in place, but there is corruption going on. There are loopholes in that. So the next point talks about these schemes. You can add schemes from your side itself if you have learnt about any problems. Down to earth talks about these problems from time to time. Yojana and Kurukshetra come out with their issues from time to time, focusing on schemes for a particular area, especially around poverty, agriculture, hunger and things like that. So if you know a scheme is facing a particular hurdle, make sure that you add that in this point. So the public distribution system of the state is not functioning well or is not accessible to everyone. It is mired with inefficiencies and corrupt practices, denying food to many. The integrated child development services and the National Health Mission have not achieved adequate coverage. So the background was not strong enough. The background which had to be, which could be developed by these schemes could not be achieved, and hence in the present situation, in the present times, we face the problem of immense hunger in our population. Moving on to the sixth point. They talk about societal factors and demographic factors. For example, in a poor household, who is most likely to be receiving the most amount of food or the highest nutritional amount of food? The head of the family, mainly the male member, or male children, and depending from family to family, but this is the data that we have received. So people like women or elders or teenage girls, adolescent girls, they are not preferred when it comes to their nutritional requirements, their dietary requirements. So either they are served at last, or whatever food they get is not high in nutrition. So a person's nutritional quotient is also dependent on demographic factors like gender, caste, age, etc. For instance, the nutritional needs of girl children, women and elderly are not adequately addressed in our society. So this is what it talks about. Moving on to the seventh point. So food wastage is the seventh point. It has also been recognized by Food and Agriculture Organization. So there have been years dedicated to this issue, and international conferences are held from time to time. The members of FAO declare it from time to time that food wastage is one of the biggest causes of mass hunger. So food wastage is also an emerging challenge that undermines the efforts to end hunger and malnutrition. According to the FAO, the global volume of food wastage is estimated at 1.6 billion tons, which is immense, of primary product equivalents. So moving on to next point, it talks about climate change and its effect on the production of food grains or production of food. So climate variability affecting rainfall patterns and agricultural seasons, and climate extremes such as droughts, floods and tropical storms are amongst the key drivers behind the rise in hunger. So even when these natural disasters take place, famines takes place and tropical storms occur every year in like southern part of India. So there are a lot of people who are deprived and who are not reached at proper time, and they die out of hunger or nutritional deficiency. Together with conflict and economic slowdown, they have calamitous consequences for the hungry poor. So here you can talk about the cause of refugees, or the societal hurdles or disasters that we have gone through in the past and we continue to go through today. So together with conflict and economic slowdowns, especially during the pandemic and after that, economic slowdown was very high. So hunger was also very high in India. So these were the reasons, as we discussed in the beginning, that in this comment answer we just have reasons, we have policies of government, and we have a way forward. So we've discussed broadly about the reasons here. Now we'll club the policies and the way forward, and we'll write in a paragraph format, and these paragraphs will also serve as our conclusion for this answer, the conclusion for this comment question. So let's move on and discuss about the way forward. So for any way forward, you need to emphasize that why this problem needs to be tackled. So achieving zero hunger requires a renewed focus on small and marginal land holdings. This is what was a problem. Whatever problems were there, whatever reasons were there, solutions have to be framed around those. So you don't have to remember a lot of points. You just have to remember the keywords of the reasons and give your solutions around those. Also, we need to formulate policies that support better agricultural investments. So this could also be written in point format. We are just changing the format of our answer from points to paragraph to make it more like flowy for the examiner, because this is just a 150 words question. So we need to start boosting the production and consumption of climate resilient native nutritional crops. A sustainable shift must be made towards nutrition sensitive agriculture and food systems that can provide safe and high quality food for all. Agroecological practices such as zero budget natural farming, organic farming and permaculture play an important role in this regard. So you know, with this rising of urbanism and westernization, most of our breakfast and whatever the healthy diet, so called healthy diet that we are taking, that is basically a westernized diet. There are so many fruits and vegetables and grains that were earlier not grown in India. Traditionally they were not present in India, but because Western dietitians have motivated us to an extent that to lose weight or to stay healthy you should be consuming this or a particular type of grain that is not even grown in India. That was not grown in India earlier, but now because of the rising demand it is now being grown in India, which is not good for our bodies and for the climate and for the soil also. So traditional foods need to be promoted. Whatever the practices we had in Vedic culture or medieval culture or just traditional food, traditional practices which you had in your family just 1 to 2 generations ago or in the previous generation itself, that needs to be promoted because they are good for our environment and for our health as a whole, and they are the ones who will save us when it comes to climate change. So this was about it, and these are the like constructive practices of zero budget natural farming, organic farming and permaculture. They play an important role in this regard. Make sure that you do them in detail. They are important from your prelims point of view also. They'll help you eliminate a lot of statement based questions, the wrong statements in your prelims. So moving on, let's see what the next paragraphs talk about. What are the practices that we can do? So we talked about the policies that were not being addressed, or there was corruption going on. So what this point says is that we need to address, like we need to micro address different parts of the population: adolescent girls, newborn children, pregnant women, lactating mothers. We need to address them, and they are the people who suffer the most in times of crisis. So they need to be cared for, they need to be addressed, and whatever are the loopholes in our present policies or schemes that are going on, they need to be covered. So in addition to the existing provisions of healthy diets from Anganwadi and schools through midday meals, the government must create provisions to supply cooked nutritious food to the vulnerable section of the society. You can mention here, see, it talks about canteens, like moving canteens or permanent canteens which supply cooked food for like 10 rupees per meal or 20 rupees per meal. There are Amma canteens going on in Tamil Nadu. Rajasthan has this Indira Rasoi Yojana. There are so many mobile vans which distribute food during the daytime, which are run by Red Cross. There must be many schemes going on in your state as well or your district as well. Note them down, or note the schemes of like these states that we have mentioned here and mention them in your answers. Also, the role of religious institutions like temples, gurdwaras, mosques, churches, they distribute a lot of free food, they distribute a lot of free meals. So there has to be recognition to their role, and government needs to work in in parallel with them, in like we need to come together with these like religious institutions and NGOs and work together with them in addressing the cause of hunger, because religious institutions and these NGOs, especially religious institutions, they are present everywhere and they are accessible to everyone. So it would be easier if we could work together. So this is it. Religious institutions and NGOs can play an important role in this regard. We saw this in the times of COVID crisis. We've seen this in the times of so many natural disasters. So many gurdwaras were sending cooked food, packed cooked food to like other countries as well. And foundations like Akshay Patra have been like appreciated on international level for helping people fight hunger. So also talking about employment, unemployment was the cause and less remunerative employment was the cause. So also rural employment schemes such as MG Narega should be given a boost to increase employment and wages. Access to food grains under the PDS needs to be streamlined by simplifying technical processes. Every now and then we hear so many times that a person in Odisha or like poorer states like that had to travel so many miles to just get access to ration, and he was denied because he did not have his Aadhaar card in place. So news like this keeps on getting highlighted in current affairs. Use that as examples or as a way forward, that these are the issues we need to fight. Now this is the concluding paragraph. Our policies must pay special attention to groups who are the most vulnerable to the harmful consequences of poor food access. Infants, children, aged under 5, school-aged children, adolescent girls and women. The steps by government, so here you just, we don't have enough words here, so we just have separated by commas all the policies of government that, that came to our mind. Around 5 to 6 policies are enough, in fact more than enough. The steps by government like National Nutrition Mission, National Food Security Mission, Zero Hunger Program, Eat Right Movement, Food Fortification Program, etc. are the constructive steps in ending hunger in India and also in addressing nutritional deficiencies. Food fortification is one of the most important steps, and we recommend that you read about Eat Right movement in detail and see that if people in your local areas they are adhering to it, they are following it. So however, India still has a long way to go in ensuring complete eradication of hunger and achieving Sustainable Development Goal 2, which is about ending hunger. You don't have to define the Sustainable Development Goal entirely in your answers because the examiner will know it. You just have to know it that you're using the right Sustainable Development Goal in your answers. So this is it. A comment statement, a comment answer is good if it ends on a diplomatic statement. So you're aspiring to be diplomats in future, so a comment statement ends like that you give all the data, everything that you know, and then you end on a diplomatic and intelligent looking statement like this one. So this is the answer addressed. This is not in word limit, this is not 150 words. We just did this long answer to explain this to you, but it is very much possible to have keywords out of these points and these paragraphs and compress it into 150 words answer. This is your task. Find out more points, write your own answers and share them with us by 9 PM tomorrow. Yes, we have increased the hours that we give you to write answer. Prelims is approaching. We have decreased the length of our videos, our discussions, and the time available for you is 24 hours now. So by 9 PM tomorrow, you can send your answers for this question that we discussed. And tomorrow's topic, the question for tomorrow's topic has already been given to you in the beginning, and it is from GS paper 3, government budgeting. You can download the PDF for this discussion from the description below. Join our Telegram channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and stay tuned, keep working hard and have faith in yourself. Share your answers.